my 40 acres free. Gotta get 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 my 40 acres free.
This is the 40 Acres Free Tour podcast. The 40 Acres Free Tour podcast is sponsored by Perfect Place Real Estate, Singleton Mortgage Group, powered by Success Mortgage Partners Incorporated. Giovanni Publishing, helping you to realize your writing goals. Sweet Treat Hut, Metro Public Adjustment. I am an insurance insider on your side. Contact Jamal Hill at 215-821-7787 or via email at teamjamalmetro@gmail.com. VBS Empowerment Zone.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for zooming in with us. I'm Jason. I am a real estate associate at Perfect Place Real Estate and also a partner at Redevelopments Plus. And tonight we have a special guest. We have Lieutenant Lisa DeSamour. She is a 15-year veteran with the Philadelphia Fire Department. She's currently in the Fire Prevention Division and also a host and producer of Freedom from Fire, a web show that brings valuable content and information about improving your quality of living by giving fire and life safety information. Tonight, Lieutenant DeSamour will speak about fire safety and prevention during this winter season. Lieutenant, thank you for joining us at such short notice, and we truly appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jason. No problems. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to be able to share all my information with you guys this evening. The winter months is when we experience more volume, higher volume of home in home fires, and it makes sense. It's logical because this is the time of year when people first start cranking up their heaters. Then you have folks that unfortunately may not have, the means to afford a regular heating system, and they have the space heaters. A lot of people still do that today. I mean, it's something I remember as a kid growing up, we saw very common, and folks think that that's something that doesn't happen today, but believe it or not, that still happens today. Likewise with, sometimes we may go in a home, we're there for another call and we happen to see that someone has their oven open because they don't have the resources to heat their home in the quote unquote traditional manner. So I definitely want to speak more specifically to the kerosene heaters, to just the regular space heaters that folks tend to buy during this time of the year, or break out the ones that they may even have in storage. Those are items that if you use them safely and you take care of them and you maintain them, you should be fine. But then on the other hand, obviously there's some that are old, people don't maintain, or probably just don't really know how to even use them, believe it or not. I would say a safe distance, if you're gonna operate any type of space heater, is minimum of 3 feet. 3 feet of anything combustible. So that's like clothing, rugs, believe it or not. A lot of times we have our little area rugs. Folks will put heaters on rugs. Do not do that. That is such a hazard in of itself. What's another one? Our little peoples, our kids and our pets. If you're going to employ the use of space heaters, you got to have it in a situation where if the child is young, you have an eye on that space heater and you have another eye on that child. Same thing with pets. You want to be mindful of your pets. You want to be mindful of your young people. And then young people that are in a capacity to understand, just basically talking about our teenagers, you let them know. If you're going to turn the space heater on, make sure you keep your eyes on it. Make sure you're still in that room. If you leave the room, or if the adult has to leave the room, the space heater has to go off. You cannot leave it on. A lot of the newer ones these days have the automatic shutoffs. So for folks that can afford those, because I believe those are a little bit more expensive, the investment is great because then you have those heaters that, as I just mentioned, the automatic shutoff. Usually those are geared more towards not when you're leaving, but in the event of a trip. So say you have a large dog, he tips over your space heater because he ran past it so fast. The space heater has a mechanism inside of it that knows that it tripped over, it's not in its upright position, and it'll actually shut off. those are great. Like I said, those are a little bit more expensive, but for folks that, you know, that's something that will work for them, I would say the investment is definitely well worth it. As I mentioned a few moments ago about the ovens, that is like a major no-no. And I would always, always implore folks that don't have resources to heat their homes in the traditional manner to please seek out those resources. And a lot of times folks just aren't aware of the resources that may be available to them when it comes to matters like that. I feel like I'm running and running on because I have so much I want to get in there. So please, if I'm talking too fast, let me know. Say, slow it down. Also, for folks that are just turning on their heating, their furnace for the first time, you get that kind of funky smell. I would always tell people, if you feel uncomfortable, if you have a gut feeling like there's something wrong, never be afraid to call 911. You'd rather have us show up and give the all clear and everything is okay, as opposed to you being embarrassed or I don't want to call because it's not really an emergency. I tell that all the time to our seniors because they're the population that tends to feel somewhat inhibited. They don't want to bother you. They don't want to inconvenience you. And I say, call. It's not an inconvenience. If that's the way you're going to look at it, okay, inconvenience me. I don't, you know, that's not a big deal for us. It really isn't. We want folks to be safe. Safety is our top tier, for lack of a better word or terminology. There was another point that I wanted to talk about with heaters. Really quick too, with the kerosene heaters, I mean, there's still those heaters that are floating around as well. I've seen folks actually refill those heaters while they're still hot and inside the home. That is a major no-no. Wait till that heater cools off and refill it outside. That's what's encouraged across the board. Any questions so far? Or do we have a certain Q&A segment coming up?
Yeah, we do. Keep going.
You want me to keep going? Okay, cool. I'll keep going. This morning on PHL 17, we were talking just what I was just talking about just now. We also threw in some safety tips as it relates to extension cords. A lot of folks aren't aware, or maybe they are, I don't know, it's a toss-up, that extension cords is for temporary use. I have been to quite a few fires in my career where an extension cord was the culprit for the fire, a simple extension cord. Temporary use and for smaller appliances, not for large appliances. So you're not hooking up your huge mega air conditioner to an extension cord. And I hate to say it goes without saying, but sometimes it doesn't. You're not hooking up your refrigerator. You're not hooking up your washer and dryer. You're not hooking up your stove. Those are major appliances that need a dedicated line. They go directly into your wall. When you overload extension cords, that's the hazard. That is the risks that you are creating to start a fire. And that happens so many times, more times than I care to even remember. Smoke alarms. It sounds redundant on my end, maybe not so much for you, but smoke alarms do save lives. I mean, they truly do. Here in the city of Philadelphia, we have the free smoke alarm program. Now, unfortunately, right now, it's really constricted because of COVID, but I still like to put it out there because it's an ongoing program. Free smoke alarms for whoever requests them. You go to the city's non-emergency number, 311. You give them your information. Well, you first let them know what you're calling for. They ask a series of questions. You give them your information, and then you go on a, for lack of a better word, a list. Depending where you are in the city, your local fire station will then coordinate directly with you. They'll come out to your house and then install the smoke alarms. Some years back, we had CO detectors. Unfortunately, we do not have them right now, but we still promote the use of them. We tell folks you can buy them at Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, Target, wherever. You can even probably find some in Rite Aid and CVS. I would always say that's definitely something that a safety device that you want to make sure you keep the packaging. You read all the packaging, because if you're anything like me, I'm one of those people that I tend to throw those little papers away. Not with CO detectors, not with any safety device. You want to make sure that you keep that and maintain it, because there's a variety, you know. You want to make sure that the variety, that you have, that you're maintaining it the way the manufacturer wants you to maintain it. With smoke alarms, also here in the city of Philadelphia, one working smoke alarm on each level of your home. That's the minimum. Should you want more, I tell folks by all means, put as many as you want. One working smoke alarm every level of your home, not near the kitchen, not near the bathroom. The more obvious reasons is if you're like me, I take super duper steamy hot showers. You leave the bathroom door open, or you have that 1-inch gap and you got the steam coming out, gets to the alarm becomes a serious nuisance. And a lot of times when that happens, people dismantle it, they tear it apart, they render it inoperable. I always say, just don't put it near those rooms so you don't run that risk. Same thing like with the kitchen. You're cooking whatever you got going in the frying pan, whatever you got baking, it gets really hot, and then it starts to produce smoke for whatever reason, gets to the detector, same deal, goes off, becomes a nuisance, and then you render it inoperable again. So anywhere in the home, preferably near the sleeping area. Also remember, the basement is considered a level as well. It's below grade, subgrade, however you want to refer to it, but it's still a level. Smoke alarm definitely needs to go down there as well. Basement fires are rampant in the city of Philadelphia. Most major metropolitan cities that have their setup like us, Baltimore, New York, you got that, style home. You got your middle of the road dwelling, your end of the road dwelling, where some of those homes have basement. Same deal. Usually people keep their dryers in the basement. I've been to, I don't know how many, I can't even count, dryer fires. People typically keep the dryer in the basement. So no smoke alarm. The dryer, for whatever reason, catches fire. And unfortunately, because it is in the basement and you have no smoke alarm, that fire is brewing, for lack of a better word again. That's dangerous because you're upstairs and you're asleep. And a lot of times that creates a situation where we have fatalities, and that's not what we want here in the city. I mean, that's not what we want anywhere, but our aim here in the city of Philadelphia is to keep all of our citizens educated, to keep them safe in their home.
Actually, I want her to talk about extension cords, because I don't think a lot of people understand the difference in using extension cords and plugging an extension cord into another extension cord and all of that. Plugging a space heater into an extension cord. These are things that people need to hear, and sometimes they need to hear those repeatedly. Do not plug a space heater into any type of extension cord.
Absolutely. Space heater, and a lot of times, and I guess I try to see the logic in it, because space heaters tend to be small, and what's always promoted with extension cords is, you can use them temporarily, as I said earlier, with small appliances. But the thing with space heaters is, even though physically it's small, it draws a lot of energy to operate and to heat your room or your home. So that's a device you just want to plug directly into the wall. Do not use the extension cord. Like I said, I cannot say it enough how extension cords, temporary use, and the whole plugging in extension cord to an extension cord, that's so dangerous, because again, that extension cord has a series of, basically it has a load on it. And when you have a load that starts to operate outside its capacity, that is where you start to introduce that fire hazard. And besides that, it's a trip hazard, because you got, extension cords all over the place. Somebody is bound to trip over that thing, fall down and break their neck or something like that. Same thing, one thing I rather should say, what I would see is people would cover the extension cords, put them underneath the rugs to kind of try to hide it. That's, again, you create in that environment, because there's a load on that extension cord. It's creating friction, it's generating heat, and now you've introduced a significant fire hazard. Also with extension cords, a lot of times, and I hate to I don't want to make it seem like I'm picking on seniors, but a lot of times our seniors are the ones that they need an extension cord. They're going to run to the Family Dollar or whoever, the quick dollar, local dollar store, and they're going to grab an extension cord. Take care of where you purchase certain items, especially extension cords. Not saying that all the time, but most times those types of extension cords that are purchased at those stores don't have that little UL listed on it. So a lot of devices you'll see, such as extension cords, on the packaging, there's a circle. It's real small. It looks like the registered trademark type circle. and it says UL. That's what you want to look for when you're purchasing an extension cord. Make sure it has the UL. UL stands for Underwriter's Laboratory. Underwriter's Laboratory, make sure what they do is they perform a series of rigorous tests to make sure that that extension cord is deemed safe to sell. That there's not going to be, so long as someone maintains it and use it according to the manufacturer's instructions, you shouldn't have any issues, any concerns, any problems with that extension cord. And I say that with anything that you're plugging in, look for that UL, because then you know it went under a series of tests to make sure that that was safe for you to use.
Stay tuned for the next episode of the 40 Acres Free Tour podcast. Connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at 40 Acres Free Tour. Send us an email at 40acresfreetour@gmail.com to advertise your business with the 40 Acres Free Tour podcast.